In news from Jamaica, the government is considering debt swap initiatives as it grapples with a high debt. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the ballooning debt must be curtailed in order to ensure economic prosperity for all. More in this report from Leslie Ann Sherwood.
Jamaica's debt remains among the highest in the world, and for decades, successive administrations have tried feverishly to lower the country's debt stock. In 2015, the public debt stock was projected to reach just over $2 trillion by the start of the 2015-2016 fiscal year. The ballooning debt has impeded government spending power in critical areas, such as healthcare, social welfare, and education. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says lowering public debt is among his administration's top priorities. He noted that his administration will be embarking on some measures to address the issue. Holness criticized the previous Portia Simpson Miller-led administration for its hypocritical stance. According to the Prime Minister, the People's National Party, PNP, has often blamed the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, for its economic mismanagement. But he says the PNP has presided over several instances of fiscal shortcomings.
To a large extent, the public debt is the creation of bad economic choices. The high interest rate policy and FinSAC were decisions of the government of the day. The poor management of public sector enterprises, which racked up sizable losses, were allowed to happen by the government of the day. Entrenched structural inefficiencies, which showed itself in low productivity, corruption, crime, and low educational output, were all happening under the watch of the government of the day that did not seem to be able to come to grips with the problems. I heard the former Minister of Finance saying that we have to come to grips, we have to get a handle on the foreign exchange problem. I agree with you 100%. It is only ironic, but highly hypocritical, that the people who were responsible for the autochthonous rise of the debt would now be accusingly asking, what about the debt?
As it relates to the plans to lower the public debt, Holness says the government has engaged the World Bank in a bid of pursuing debt reduction through debt swap initiatives.
Jamaica would in turn adopt and agree to a policy matrix that improves regulation and legislation in areas that reduce our vulnerability to the hazardous effect of climate change and increase our resilience. While the size of this initiative may initially be small relative to Jamaica's large stock of debt, progress in this effort will send an unmistakable message that this nation, this House, and this government are serious about reducing the debt and securing a better future for unborn generations.
And the government is also considering putting up their assets to offset this debt.
The government of Jamaica will work with its institutional partners and advisors to achieve further reduction in debt through debt for asset initiatives. While I will speak to privatization as a separate matter, Mr. Speaker, our debt for asset initiatives will package appropriate pools of assets that will be used to retire outstanding public debt by way of a swap. This government, Mr. Speaker, is serious about debt reduction. So strategically, we will continue to opportunistically and pragmatically pursue reduction in the public debt. However, ultimately, the only way to sustainably reduce the debt is to grow the economy.
Holness argues that the country must explore creative measures to ensure economic prosperity for all. He says continuous years of slow growth will continue to undermine the country's financial well-being. He underscored that the 4-year economic reform program with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has been helping to steer Jamaica back on track. The World Bank forecasts GDP growth at 1.7% in 2016 and over 2% in 2017. Under the IMF agreement, the country has agreed to maintain a primary surplus balance of 7%. Holness says his administration is committed to the target.
One of the main tools used to tackle public debt is the maintenance of a high primary surplus. And as such, Mr. Speaker, the government will maintain the 7% primary surplus balance in accordance with our international commitments. However, as we improve the efficiency of government and we show greater positive growth and we take other measures to reduce debt, we expect commensurate reductions in the target.
I'm Leslie Anshaud for CEEN Caribbean News.